just like, once I realized how
So just not allowed mistakes, a lot of problems.
now if they're not gonna be an employee, they have to be, working with a freelancer.
Yeah.
They have to
Their own business.
That's
the word.
So like, we don't have contracts with meetings.
Am I right?
Yep. Are you ready? I'm ready. Do you want me to start this party?
Yeah.
If you were new, you didn't know this.
This is my role at these micro-business meetups, everybody. Hello and welcome to the May 2014 edition Micro-Business Meetup. Right here on the corner of 124 Allen Street. So I'm sorry, I have a bigger voice and I used to be a teacher, so I use my voice to start these meetings. So what's up? This is an informal get-together. We talk about some business, and I'm going to hand it over to Neil from here.
Yeah, we've missed you for a couple of weeks.
Sorry, man. You made it without me. You made it.
Turn that down.
Actually, I can turn it to. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Let's have magic happen here. Ready? Listen, everybody.
Wow, you're live. With
I thought he was going to speak to it.
Yeah.
Turn on the stereo.
Yeah, we didn't do any of the crazy stuff with the business cards or anything this time, but welcome to the Microbusiness Meetup. We're below the projected this time. We've been above the last 2 months, so.
We suck.
Yeah, something happened. I don't know who it is.
weather.
Because I started showing up.
And no one
After what John did last
That is
month.
the pattern.
So the idea is that this is an opportunity to talk to other micro business owners or people involved with small business and hopefully get some of your questions answered if you happen to have any. We are trying to webcast again today, so we're live on YouTube. We don't have anybody to say hi to. Amy, did you see that we said hi to you last time?
No,
You didn't
I
watch
actually
the
didn't
webcast?
get a chance, so I'm so sorry.
Alright. We've had somebody the past 2 times, but not this time.
I watched it afterwards.
Did you?
I could hear myself talk.
Yeah. We had a lot of interesting things.
Yeah, I did. I was trying to gauge afterwards, see people's actual faces when I started making my jokes.
Yeah.
I started watching it after I got the email because I was out of town and I just got busy, so I didn't finish it. But it looked, I want to watch it. I was ready to
I watched
continue.
part of it as well.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, use them as a resource if you heard something that you want to revisit, or if you miss and I don't know how
many
you
touches
miss,
you like
but,
to do, or
Oh yeah, that's right. We got into that whole thing. Yeah.
I like to touch people.
So,
repeatedly in different ways. I mean, that's what we came to.
12
different times. 12 different times.
Okay.
So
So
now we have a more balanced crew, so this is less.
yeah, that was extra creepy because we were so imbalanced last time.
Was that all the guys?
We only
that was
have
the-
one woman
That was the
last
first
time.
thing I noticed when I turned it on. I was watching it. I started counting. I said, "Where are the women? There's no women in that room."
Just
Well,
I left
I don't
and
think they're allowed to run businesses in Western New York.
Oh, is that what it
Alright,
is?
sorry.
Keep it under the radar. You must
Still-
have
it's still on
reading
the
the
books.
News Kathy article.
all right. So moving on from that, I have no comment. So it's just this is an informal educational networking group that aimed at bringing together small businesses, freelancers, self-employed, artists, entrepreneurs. If you know any of those people, feel free to invite them in the future. And in a moment, you'll get a chance to kind of discuss some common problems that maybe somebody's having or successes. I have to mention, we do have a LinkedIn group, so if anybody's interested in getting in on that, what we try to do with it is kind of continue the discussion that we have at these meetings, so you can, or if you have questions and stuff more than once a month, which has to happen, right? You feel free to put them up there and start a discussion. We've got something 36 members or something right now, so it's not a huge group, but there's some good people in there who can help you out.
What's the group called? Is it Microbusiness?
Microbusiness Meetup.
Microbusiness Meetup.
Yes, yeah. The same, so it's, title is the same as we have on the Meetup page. And I'll include that in we've been doing a wrap-up email, so we'll include that as well. All right, so, you know what? Paul, do you want to talk about the breakthrough 4 intros?
Sure.
Alright, go for it.
Well, I guess I'll just wrap the intro right into it now. So my name is Paul Greiner. I'm a consultant and program leader with ALS Consulting, and I work with entrepreneurs and teams and nonprofits to improve performance. So we deal with whatever issues are in the way of them actually producing the results they're committed to. And the brunch that Neil's referring to is we've got our second brunch in a series of, let's call it monthly, and it's kind of every month and a half or so, brunches, breakthrough brunches, where it's designed for kind of forward thinking. I'm going to avoid saying younger, because that's not necessarily always the case. But forward-thinking entrepreneurs and business people who are open to new ideas and actually trying on new practices and actually doing things in a new way. So we have presentations, we do exercises, there's of course networking and drinks and delicious food. The last one was at Joe's Deli in their back conference room, went really well. June 28th, it's at Merge in their little private side room, and I think we cap at 20 people total that we can jam into there. So yeah, if you're interested in networking, trying out new ideas, moving things forward in new ways, or just something you can write off on a Saturday afternoon for to avoid the normal brunch, then smallbizbreakthroughevents.com. You can get information, and I'm sure you'll now put that link in the email as well.
Yes, that link will be in the email. And we plugged in on the
In the podcast.
the Lavelle podcast.
We have a question.
Yes.
I'm
Just
gonna get a chair.
to get a flavor for what you're talking about, can you exemplify one new innovation that you might have talked about at the last
So
time?
at our last event, we had I did a small short talk, and then CJ Maurer, CJ, did a small talk. We had an exercise. The overarching theme is the kind of theme of the ideas we have and the practices we use and the institutions in place around us are all born out of actual assumptions and ideas that have long since faded out, become irrelevant, become disproven, and we still operate in the same ways and wonder why things don't work out well. So that's the kind of the context for the whole series. And then CJ had a conversation and did an exercise called End the Stalemate. And what it basically boils down to is the best way to influence people is to actually influence people. Not, I can talk all day about I'm a consultant, blah, 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 blah. It won't make the kind of difference that sitting down in a room for 2 hours and actually getting something done will make, right? That's what speaks the loudest. So End the Stalemate is about being willing to be the first one across the line and actually demonstrate something with no expectation of direct return, and then seeing how that goes from there as a model. So people actually, we got them in little triads, little groups of 3, and they brainstormed ideas. We prepared them coming in with, here's what you want to be kind of generally thinking about. They worked out their ideas and created new projects and actions and initiatives and set dates on when they'd accomplish it, and we created a group to support it online, social media group, so that people could feedback, ask questions. So that on its own will go off in its own kind of separate direction from the brunches, and that's what we're looking to do, is get some new ways made. So that's some of it, and then we've almost thought through what will be at the next one. The basics are in place, but my intention is that it doesn't follow any specific theme. It really keeps it open, and we have different people coming in giving talks on new ways of doing things, new approaches.
So missing one doesn't mean you can't come to the next one.
No,
You won't-
not at all.
It's not like
Right.
missing one
Yeah.
of your.
No, it's not like a,
Yeah, you're trying to come to the second
Yeah.
one, but it'll also allow those people from the first one to continue.
Yeah, what
the
we'll cover
idea.
in the second one is more along the lines of once you're in action on something, you're really getting clear on the unique value that you bring, so you can kind of hone in those actions, and then dealing with frameworks that you can create to actually manage your own action effectively. So we'll be doing an exercise and basically setting up the project and setting up the structures and support from the people around you to make sure that you're actually successful in it. Or to help make sure, because you can still always bail out of anything at any time.
At least put you on the right path.
Yeah.
Well, we'll build off of that if we just want to do intros. but who goes next? Karen.
Okay.
Yeah, just let everybody know who you are and what you do.
Karen Sully, and I am a web design and marketing consultant. I have my own business, K Dynamics, and essentially my sweet spot is small to medium-sized businesses whose websites are not making them money. I do offer free evaluation, and my focus is on return on investment. I do believe that if you build it, they don't always come. So if your website isn't making money for you, take me up on my free assessment. And again, Karen Sully. Thanks.
Go for it.
Scott Beer. I own a small printing company in Williamsville. 2 partners. We focus on short-run, high-quality printing. We just went e-commerce recently, so we're struggling with some of those issues, trying to market that. But yeah, this is my first sort of meeting like this, networking, so glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Michael Helwig, and I run a website called artfullydesign.com, and I am an interior designer who designs from a distance, and I also do interior environment coaching. I'm interested in learning a little bit about how people are getting customers and if you're referral based. My customer base is not locally, it's based pretty much all over the place, but my focus is trying to figure out how to get a little bit more traffic on my website and what other people are doing for blogging and traffic generation that way as well.
Hi, I'm Amy Victoria, and I own a PR agency called Dream Keepers PR. And I do talent management for professional equestrians, and I also, on the other side of that, I develop sponsorship programs for equine industry corporate. And then kind of manage the relationships in between. And then I also do some organizational development consulting for the professional trainers. I'm especially fascinated by trainers who are getting ready to make it to the top levels of the sport. So a lot of my work deals with, what makes people successful, leadership, and that sort of thing.
John Lavelle from L&L Media. We're an ad agency. We focus on radio, TV, and print. I've been doing some form of advertising, since 1998. But what we do is we make sure that you can get your message across to the people that you want to target. We also do digital advertising too. I forgot to mention that one. But so yeah, we make it affordable. A lot of people think that TV is not affordable. They think that it's millions of dollars, but it's actually really not that much. You can get on TV for as little as $10 a commercial, so it's a little secret. But down the road.
I'm Jordan Heggie. I am the owner of Riveter Design, so a graphic design freelancer. But I kind of bring together teams to handle pretty much any project my clients need, from small to medium-sized businesses, and I even work with some larger businesses through creative partners or marketing teams. So I work with pretty much everybody in the business. I've been very lucky to have an agency background, so I worked in agencies for 10 years and I have a great network through that. So a lot of my clients and my projects come through those people. I've been in business for myself for about 1.5 years now, almost 2 years. So going strong, it's fun, it's interesting, a little scary, but it's great. So I'm excited to be here too.
Well, I'm Neil. I know most people here with Nicholas City Graphics, and we are a marketing company for small businesses and organizations. Our focus is on producing video for the web, and the reason we like to do that is because you can take a complex idea and distill it down into an easy to understand message that can then be spread around and sent to your target and all that good stuff. So that's what we do. Andy?
Hi, I'm Andy. I'm a photographer. I shoot mostly weddings. I do about 30 a year. And I do a little dash of commercial work on the side. And I share studio space with Neil.
I'm Fran Vaughn. I have FMV Tax Professionals. I remember my name. Tax season just ended, so I'm kind of a lot more freed up than I was a couple of months ago. My specialty is individual, small business, and not-for-profit tax returns. During the off-season, I try to work with not-for-profits, making sure that their reporting is done, and also not-for-profits that have not yet become tax exempt. I help them apply for their tax exempt status. So that's a project that might be getting simpler. It looks like the IRS is trying to put that program online, so I'm hoping that that will be the case. I've been playing with their online program, and it's actually fairly workable. So I'm happy with that.
I'm Keith Wesolowski. I'm an attorney. I focus on working with small businesses and their owners wherever they are in the business life cycle. So that could be incorporating and starting up and gearing up the right way, to drafting their contracts and making sure that they're operating the business in a fashion that makes sense, to ultimately planning for the end stages, be that transferring the business to the next generation or exiting by selling out. Basically, I'm the counsel to the entrepreneur, tackling the legal issues so that the business owner can focus on their passion.
Excellent. All right, well, it was quick because we have a small group today, but let's, does anyone have any sort of question that they wanted to bring to the group?
I actually do. And it's not related to a specific situation of mine, but we kind of got brought up earlier when we were talking about the one woman in the room thing, and how it actually, you know, it took some of us a while to even recognize until possibly she said it, right? Even though some other women watched the video for 30 seconds, and that's the first thing that I noticed. I've also had, and I work with a lot of women clients, and I'm wondering, you know, what else am I missing, right? Because I also, my girlfriends, and well, she's still working in one place and scouting out some others, and went to an interview today. And they had the interview at some hotel, which is not unheard of, but it was in a suite, which you couldn't tell by walking down the hall, right? So she's walking down the hall with these two strange men. She's, you know, the open door she's walking by, there's just little rooms with beds in them. And, you know, has to deal with whatever the experiences that comes up around that kind of experience. And I'm guessing, and she understands, she's like, yeah, she doesn't even like register for guys. That would be like a scary thing. Uncomfortable, scary, anything in between, right? So my question, and obviously there's only a few people in here that can answer it, but at least it's up to about a third of the people at this point, is there anything else that happens kind of regularly, right, that I might not be able to see because the gender filters, the cultural filters, that is actually uncomfortable, and you don't like having the experience, and whether you'll actually say this out loud, and this might be one of those things right now. Don't you love it when guys, when forceful guys put you on the spot in front of a whole room of people?
Nice
that might be it. But you know, I'm actually curious because, you know, I'm committed to things working for everyone, and certainly beyond just the you know, I can get more business if I can talk to the women in a different way. I'm curious about what works, and the easiest access to that is through dealing with what doesn't.
I'll kick it off and help you get out of this.
Yeah.
I'm worried
I'll brother out of it.
I actually, I've had two experiences that I thought, man, I'm sure guys never have to deal with this. The first is new business. I always have to be really careful about, like, meeting new business people. So like if I get an email from my website, somebody just off the cuff emails me through my website and I've never heard of them before, I have to really think about, like, do I want to meet this person in person first, or do I want to have a phone call first, or like how do I want to approach it, and where do I want to meet? I work from home, so like, well, we're not going to meet at my house. Probably do that with any new business client, even if it was female or male, it wouldn't matter. But making sure that it's like somewhere that's going to be appropriate and comfortable and safe. Yeah. So that I think is one of the things I wonder if, anybody else has dealt with that in terms of new business. Then the other thing that I experienced, which was fine, was not like a big deal, especially because I know it was coming from a place of love, but I had a client, relatively new client, who was leaving their current designer because she had a baby, and she decided, her baby was like 1.5, and she decided that she wanted to take a new position, and she was going to work full-time, regular 9 to 5, and no longer wanted to be a freelancer. So she basically was handing me her clients, which is amazing. So thanks. That was such an honor that somebody would think of me, and so I was very pleased and met with the clients and really good chemistry. But at one point they said, "So you're not going to have a baby and quit on us, are you?" And I was like, "That's not exactly appropriate for you to ask me that question, but no, I'm not going to. Just because I'm going to have, hopefully someday, kids doesn't mean that I'm going to backpedal, leave my job, my career, my business that I built from the ground up." And I don't think anyone would ever ask a man that. So I think those are the right,
obvious reasons.
probably not. So, but I mean, they could legitimately, they could ask a man that question.
Without the pregnant, are you
Right.
gonna bail?
Right.
Because anybody can quit.
So those are the two, oddly,
Yeah.
odd
The
experiences.
question about having business at home, Keith, you asked me earlier, why did I want these offices off-site? And I forgot, but that was the primary reason, was that I don't want, somebody calls to have their taxes done, I work out of my home, you wanna come at 8 o'clock at night to my house and I don't know who you are, So, I work a lot of referrals, and if somebody refers somebody to me, I'm more likely to meet them at my house. But if you're calling me out of a penny saver or because of one of my ads that I have out there, I don't want you coming in with your ads.
Yeah.
So that was actually why I
And
have
those are
offices
the
out.
kind of things, I understand the second thing you said, and yeah, it's like, okay, you weren't thinking before you opened your mouth. But that
was fresh in
first
that
element
mind.
that I think is blind largely, I'm not gonna generalize guys either, right? But largely and I've been in courses where women brought guys in, there were women courses and relationship courses, and you had to have the experience of how many of you feel threatened? When's the last time you felt threatened? And you're going through the guys, and it was like, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, or it's like last week, I don't know, I never feel threatened, fuck everyone, the whole range. And then women, it was within the 24-hour period, everyone's hand had gone up. And which doesn't occur for us at all. So given that, I would guess there's a whole bunch of different situations that prompt things that we can't even fathom.
I had some situations when I was working, and I just had this conversation last week with some colleagues that I was the only female vice president on the staff. There was a female president and 6 male vice presidents, and I was the only female. And what was curious to me was 2 years in a row during my review, my president told me that I needed to watch the guys' body language because I was offending them when I talked. And I thought, I said, did you ask them to watch their language with me because they also offend me when they jump on my conversation before I'm allowed to finish?
I'm sorry, was the president female or
Yes, she was,
Okay.
which I thought was a little strange, but on the other hand, I think she was trying to watch out for me. She wasn't trying to be malicious, but at the same time, I think she was super sensitive to them and less sensitive to, because I really didn't have a whole lot of, there was the vice president of finance and the vice president of academics, and I was the fundraiser, so it's not like I had a huge contribution anyway. So when I spoke, it was very infrequently, so I just couldn't imagine that it was that offensive. And I did ask for a specific, but that's the kind of thing that I doubt seriously would happen with any of the guys in the room. She didn't tell them to be careful how they spoke to Fran because they were offending me. So.
Right. So is there any other do's, don'ts, if you don't want to be scaring the shit out of people who won't actually admit in the moment they're scared, and then we'll be weird or be
Don't schedule
something
interviews in the
like
suite of a hotel.
That's a brilliant one. I told her, I said,
Don't be
if you
afraid
end
of
up
women
working
who
there, you
can
might
stand
want
up
to
for
tell
themselves.
them.
I think that's that's one of the things that more of us come into the workplace, we're gonna, women entrepreneurs are probably less timid than general, again, I'm gonna be generalizing too, the general run-of-the-mill women. I've never been accused of being shy. I grew up with 3 brothers, so you guys don't scare me. But I think that women do tend to be a little, most women tend to be more accommodating and a little less confrontational, so that when you run into women that are more assertive, it startles men. I don't know that it's necessarily scary. I think it's different, and I think it's something that it's like, okay, she's not really necessarily fighting with me. If a guy said the same thing to me, it would be okay. So you kind of run that through your
bounce back and forth. Yeah.
What's your metrics or whatever before you get offended. Because I do think guys get offended when women speak up for themselves. And again, I'm saying that generally.
Right.
And more women.
Oh, no, I get your point. I'm fucking out of here.
And as more women are in the workplace, you're going to get more used to it.
Yeah.
But I think we're more hesitant to stand up for ourselves too, because we've gotten bit in the butt from it too.
But don't you think that also that marketing toward women, it's missing the mark a lot of times? I mean, really, I just came across this website today called Sheconomy, and my primary focus for a client is a woman.
Women.
Yeah, mostly baby boomers, mostly women that are affluent, that know what they want. And so my experience with talking to women from my perspective has been to just kind of reinforce what they're saying, to go along with what they want to do, and to basically give them a roadmap to what they want. But I found this website today very, very interesting, the Sheconomy website, because it really kind of breaks down statistically, women are increasingly getting more buying power and are the primary purchasers for their families.
Oh, yeah.
Everything, goods, services.
In fundraising, there's a huge lean towards looking at women as philanthropists, because women live longer than men, so a lot of times end up with the wealth. But one of the statistics they learned is that women give differently than men give. That men just give the money, don't let you work, and women want to get passionate about the project, and then they'll give you the money. So I think again, women do come at things from an emotional point of view in a lot of ways. That's not. Women are different than men. I'm gonna say it. I don't care.
My business is 95% women buy photography. It's not men that buy photography. So realizing that, and also realizing when I it's very rare for me within weddings to be emailing with the groom. 95% of the time it's with the bride. And so, but you match the tone, right? So like, if I get an email that says, "Hi Andy," exclamation point, I'm going to respond back, "Hi whoever you are, exclamation point, and you kind of match their tone, because different people have different tones, and I feel like that has worked really well for me in terms of understanding what my clientele is and what they're looking for. And I don't know, if you respond back in something that's off from what they are, then you can kind of see that turn off, and I've learned that over the years. But women have. I think that was a really interesting comment that you just made. What was it you just said? That how they,
when you mirror.
Thanks for listening, Andy.
The marketing.
The marketing, exactly. The marketing has missed the mark for women, really.
Right.
And it's just you're not. Women are they're just not getting their voices heard. They're not getting the reciprocation of what their needs are in any kind of product or service industry, if you think about it.
I think some people are doing it right and some people aren't. I mean, and that's been the same for years and years. I mean, Nike's been doing a wonderful job of it for a really long time.
Okay.
Nike also has a giant budget.
Right.
But I mean, I think there's good people who are good at advertising and people who aren't, and there are people who know how to target. I mean, I knew several of us in the room are in marketing or PR. I mean, that's our specialty. That's what we focus on, is getting inside somebody else's head and being able to understand what your target demographic wants and whether you're fitting them properly. So I think, I don't know. I think some people are doing it well, but there's always going to be people who are doing it wrong.
Well, there would always be a gap as long as it's still I'm assuming, I don't know the numbers on the marketing industry, and that kind of encompasses a lot of things, but given the stats, I'm assuming it still ends up being male dominated, at least in the higher
I think
ranks.
male led maybe in the
So
higher
it's
ranks.
still, no matter how much I like to get in someone else's head as a composite of a bunch of statistics that I've put together, that's not, A, it's not communicating with a human being, so you've always got whatever gap you've got there, but B, if there are these fundamental differences, besides just the super ingrained socio-cultural ones between men and women, but there are some different biological filters, then, it's gonna be off, right? I mean, there's no way I'm gonna be able to match it 100% of the time, no matter how much I wanna, even if I'm face to face and we're doing some, and I'm, matching their tone, and I'm giving them back what they're saying, and I'm understanding. There is no actually getting what's going on for another person, and there's probably a hell of a lot less chance between a man and a woman.
That's why I think diversity in advertising, I mean, more so than just like women and men, but diversity period. That's why it's such a big deal right now, is because in order to get our messaging right, you just don't have the experiences that other people have. So the bottom line is to get the best results and to get the best marketing and advertising and to talk to people, communicate in the right way, you just have to have those diverse backgrounds and that diverse knowledge. So whether it's like you run it past your friends who have different backgrounds, like however you do that, somehow you have to gauge, whether you covered off on the right things.
I think some of that too is we're not always the right person for the person in front of you.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's why there's enough, there's not just one big marketing company out there, because
sometimes that's what you want.
Right.
If I'm only looking for X person, I don't really care if Y gets offended.
or doesn't get it.
Or doesn't get it. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter if they miss the message. It's because I was only looking for X person.
Yeah, because the message is only going for one person anyway.
Now we're getting
That's
into
a
the
great
territory, that like John and I were talking about earlier.
Targeting.
So,
You
targeting.
have to target. If you're not targeting, then you're not getting it.
Right, but that's where niche is.
And you can't make everybody happy all the time.
Yeah.
You can only be who you are,
Yes,
Find the right client for you.
We wrap this up nicely. Now that we got the gender issues and business handled. What's next?
Does anybody else have any other questions? No?
I'm actually kind of interested in your business from the perspective of getting clients on a bigger level other than local. That just because I have ideas of getting my name out there on a national level and maybe shooting some weddings all over the place and that kind of thing. But in terms of, and that's something that you were interested in talking about as well, or getting more information about, like, does anybody have a background with getting like web traffic or on a national level outside of a local area, or how's that been going, or what's the process? I'd be interested in a conversation about that.
I need help in that direction too. I mean, I'm not an expert in it by any means, but just blogging. We were talking earlier about doing like an editorial calendar for blog posts. Coming up ahead of time with subjects that you can write about.
If I could suggest something for you, is I would look into behavioral targeting. You know that your client that you want has certain behaviors. They go to certain websites, so I would advertise on those websites.
Right. Where they are.
Yeah, and so basically, instead of trying to find those people and getting, you're letting them come to you. So to say, they're coming to those websites so that you're just going to be in front of them.
So step one is finding the right places, and then step 1.5 is to like make sure that whatever you're putting on those sites, however you're advertising on those sites, is speaking in the right way.
How did you come to be doing this, not locally? Is there just not enough?
There's really not enough clients in Buffalo to do this. It came to me a couple of years ago, and I've only been doing it for probably about the last 10 months or so, almost a year now. And it's slow going.
Sorry, what is your business again? What is it?
I do interior design from a distance.
Okay.
Electronic design, basically.
Oh, okay.
So do I have to turn my camera on my laptop and show you my living room?
Yes, you can.
Is it?
Yeah, we can email back and forth. What I do is I do floor plans and elevations that I try to incorporate exactly what your room is going to look like into your actual pictures, so I can kind of like guide you through taking the pictures, and then I insert elevations as to what your room would look like after, you know, product is picked, and there's a questionnaire, there's all kinds of things to kind of like funnel it all into what you need, but essentially it's just kind of electronic design. You choose how you want to work with me. I have different packages on their website. You can services by the hour if you needed it, and other things like that.
Do you provide them with a, just because I don't know and I don't understand, do you provide them with some kind of layout and show them what the design will look like electronically?
Yes.
Oh, yes. So you
Yes.
design it in a program, 3D,
Correct.
and then give that to the client.
And
Cool.
then do you give me a shopping list that says this is what you need to go buy?
Clickable. You click on the pictures and it takes you right to.
That's awesome.
So cool.
That's really cool.
And
Yeah.
Okay, we're just all gonna
Yeah.
advertise. Your job is done, we're just gonna.
Are you familiar with there's a furniture store on Elmwood in North Buffalo, whose name I can't remember, that sells almost exclusively out of town because their furniture is also pretty high end and they,
Advanced?
nobody,
Is it next
Yes,
to
it
the
is.
spot?
I think it's advanced.
Yeah.
They've got the coolest furniture
They
ever.
do. It's very modern. It's very
But
modern.
almost all of their clientele is out of town too, and I was thinking you guys could,
Yeah.
if, if you know about them, then maybe
I
you've
do,
already talked to
yeah.
them about how
I
they
haven't
sell
yet, but-
furniture out of town. But
Actually, it's so funny you mentioned that. I just went in there for the first time probably about 2 months ago, and just was looking for a coffee table for myself. But yeah,
I can't,
Family
I
run
haven't
business.
personally been in there, but one of my tax clients has the coolest furniture, and she
Yeah.
got it all from them, and some of it was custom.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was custom made or custom searched for, but
right.
she
That's a great idea though, like partnerships. I mean, there are probably, I mean, think about the places that you source for the things that you're recommending people should buy. And maybe you're already doing this, but like, is there any sort of partnership where you can bounce back and forth between these sites where you offer interior design services and they offer products that you love and like to recommend
Yes.
to people?
Yeah, and I can actually translate my designer discounts to customers and things like that. Yeah, so I do that pretty much now. But on a local level, I think that's a great idea. I mean, it can't hurt, you know, to go.
well, I
in
mean, they
and
might be able to help you with your
Mhm.
distance people too, because
Sure.
if their business is
Yeah.
largely distance,
Right.
they might have somebody saying, you know, I would love that couch, but I haven't got a clue what to do with it.
Right.
And they say, oh, well, you get to call, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Michael.
Michael,
Yeah.
it was a hard one to remember. I forgot. Call Michael, he'll help you
Yeah.
out, so.
Well, let's start blogging to increase your SEO, or did you just want to share content, or both?
Yes. The answer to that is
Yes,
yes. And I am not the best blogger, and I am not at all consistent with it, which is another problem that I'm finding, that I need to be more consistent with things and sticking to my editorial calendar that I have and just kind of hammering them out.
Now,
But,
I'm gonna take it there because I always talk about Pinterest.
Mhm.
Because are you-
Pinterest is huge,
Are
yes.
you using Pinterest? Because for
Yes.
someone like you, I would use 100% Pinterest.
Yes.
And your blog, when those pins should go right to your blog.
Right.
Yeah.
You using WordPress?
Sorry, I
I
don't
use
know.
WordPress as a sitting line.
Like all your social media to it?
I have.
So like post it.
Yes. You know, certain directions, so yeah.
And I think that leads to another like good point. That's one thing that I've found works out well a lot. I think with any micro business are partnerships. Like if you can find somebody who complements you, then you can focus on that one skill set that you're really like best suited for. Right? That goes back to the you can't be everything to everybody, right, Andy?
That's true.
Which
What I'm saying.
which I think is a hard, I don't know, I found it hard, like you guys are in the same business, like, I don't know, like you know, to like not do web design, even though I didn't like doing it, I would always be asked to do it, but to like ship that stuff out to partners is it just increases the quality of work and gets you kind of a nice fallback type thing where like, you know, people are sending you work because you're sending them and everybody gets to do what they're best at.
So, do the people that you work with locally, they still go on and take all their own pictures and send you stuff, or you actually show up?
You know what, I don't have any local clients.
Oh, you don't?
I have no, at all,
Okay.
0 local clients, so it's.
So all you're working with is
It's
outside
everybody
the area,
that's-
and you're
yes.
looking to do more.
And they come to you now via your website, or what other traditional?
They come to me via my website, like probably about 10% of the time. A lot of the other time it's referral business from people that I've done work for before. I do have a 9-to-5 job that I work in town, so I get referral business that way, where people will tell me, oh, my aunt so-and-so is out in California and she would love, some design work, and so we'll kind of hook up that way too. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much all completely generated from referrals or from the website.
And have you done laying the groundwork of like differentiation? Like what differentiates you for someone who actually shows up, who's from their area, and actually, so they don't have to take their own pictures, and actually does that segment? I mean, have you done kind of laid out like, here's my advantage, here's what sets me apart?
Not so much. No.
Yeah, I would do that before you do any new method. So it's worth it, because then again, you know who
So,
it
like,
is,
why are they going
who
to
it is
you
you're
instead of
talking
regular
to.
Before they
Yeah.
refer.
You seem to know the client, but not quite your uniqueness. So when you get those two clued in, then you've got 1 or 2, maybe 3 really good paths, and then you hone in with whatever the message. Then you use all the content and the SEO and whatever the advertising. That's not in my department, but that first part is where I would definitely start the process, because the rest of it you're just kind of shooting out there.
The other interesting angle for you might be to hit, like, what are some other people that deal with residents? It's mostly residential, right?
Yes.
So, like, other people who deal with residential owners, so like real estate agents who deal with a lot of, people moving
Great
freely.
idea. Yeah.
So, like, if you're
I thought
touching,
about
yeah, so
that
if you
too.
could get in touch, that's a way where you could make local relationships with people who just do a lot of relocations, and then, you could connect with Hunt and Knocknable and the USA and try to get in there. What's that?
Yeah.
Adam,
is
who was here
focused on-
last time, as a real estate agent for Hunt, who focuses on bounce back to this
Right.
area and
Yeah.
moving into the area.
Yeah, so those kind of connections would really be good, especially for people who are focusing on
Yeah,
that.
beer's in the fridge, right?
Mhm.
There's beer in the fridge, John, if you're interested.
Is this
There's
Andy?
beer in the
Andy?
fridge.
Yes.
If you were, the first idea that came to me is if you wanted to go national, would be doing destination weddings
Yeah.
and like getting familiar with brides all over.
Yeah, I don't even know that I want to. That's the thing. I gave up. Like, I'm fine with that. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I could get on planes and shit. But I mean, I've done a few. You know what I mean? I've done a few. Like, I've done one in Los Angeles. And you know what I mean? And it's like, it seems to be kind of more than it's cracked up to be, because it's like a lot of travel and planning and all that. But at the same and work. And you know what I mean? It's a lot more work.
Travel for work is not.
Yeah, I know. It's not as glorious as it seems.
Especially when you travel
But-
6 hours, if you count the security line, and then you work at 2 hours.
Right, yeah, but I mean, you have to charge for all that, or be priced appropriately. But I'm just curious, because in the back of my head, I'm thinking, well, if my prices were higher and I did shot less other places, then maybe, but it's just kind of a back in my mind thing that I'm,
You said you do 30 weddings, is that enough to support you, or is that?
Yeah, that's what my business is based around, shooting 30 weddings at a certain amount, so that I can
That's,
make that amount, and then Uncle Sam
Take
takes
your
their
one
amount out,
aside.
and then I'm happy,
That's pretty standard,
but-
right, for freelance photographers, for wedding photographers, 30 weddings.
Yeah, the real sweet spot is I would love to be at 25, but then I feel like my prices would go up, and then I'm
Right,
kind of in a weird place in Buffalo, because I'm near the top in Buffalo.
right.
But if I go much higher, then you lose people, and it's like, I don't need to be doing that. I'm fine shooting 30. It keeps me busy anyway.
but if you could
So-
do one in St. Lucia for twice, maybe you'd have a vacation.
And that's kind of what I mean, and I kind of toyed with the idea of getting, a
That would be
site,
25.
like maybe just starting a website in Boston, because it's like a $100 JetBlue flight to fly over to Boston. So if I had a separate website, pricing, rate for Boston, I could, and that included my air travel and all that kind of thing. And I do my meetings via FaceTime when I have out of town couples and that kind of thing. Anyway, I do that now because I have a lot of couples that come that are living somewhere else in New York City, and I do a FaceTime and they fly in to do the wedding because somebody's from Buffalo. Sadly, everybody leaves. You know what I mean? But, so yeah, I don't know. It's in the back of my mind though. So.
I think that could work, especially if you've got a good website that can really show that you're difference and why you're. I remember looking for photographers for my daughter's wedding, and just the way they presented themselves on their website
Yeah.
was, I couldn't afford one, but
Yeah.
it was like, well, if I had all the money in the world, that's the one I want.
Right.
But somebody's out there that's got all the money in the world and wants
Right.
you.
Right.
It's all personality with that industry, right?
It's a lot of personality.
Yeah. Well,
Well, there's
The
so
photos do a little of the work.
This,
No,
yeah,
well,
the photos do. It
Well,
should
the
be
photos
about
and the
that.
presentation of the photos.
But it's about. But good business is about three things. People. Good business is about three things. We were talking about this earlier today, right? You only need to do two. You only need to do two.
pick
Okay.
two.
Pick any two that you want. The three things are: be likable, have people really want to work with you, do amazing work, right? And be timely, respond to people, get turn things back around. All you need to do is two. You can be timely and do amazing work.
That's my comment.
And right.
And everybody can hate you.
And people will love you. Or you can do shitty work, right? Be timely and and be likable, and you're still gonna get business, But if you can nail all three, then you're good. Then you're good to
Or
go.
do all three
So-
and then take a vacation to sandwich them, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
If you want to
Charge
do the
enough to take a couple
destination.
days.
I got the total wrong business because I'm in the tax business. So from January to April, I'm super busy and fairly stuffed. I could do it remotely, and I sort of started training my people to mail me their stuff. But I can't go to Florida in the winter time. What have I done to myself?
Yeah. No destination taxes.
I like it. It's got a nice ring to
It
it.
does. I'll have to start a whole new process there. I did
Though
start.
I do remember we had a phone conversation while you were in Hawaii about
That's
the
right.
taxes.
And I forward my phone whenever I'm not at home to my cell phone. So and I always give only my home number is my office number. And I try to discourage people from calling my cell phone, because if I'm not, I don't look at my cell phone unless I know my phone's forwarded to it. My cell phone's kind of it's not the office phone unless my phone's forwarded to it. So I can be wherever the phone is, and I've got a laptop, so I can be there. So
There you go.
like I said, I did do this year was my first year. This was the first year I sent out return address mail envelopes. I sent all my tax clients a return address envelope, so they didn't have to drive to my house and drop it off, or drive to my office and drop it off. They could just stick it in an envelope, and I would get it, and I could do it, and call you up and say, it's all done, what do you want to do about getting it back?
You need to just train everybody to be paperless,
They
and
should.
then you can see
Well,
it anywhere in the world.
The only difficulty with that is I've got to get more encryption if I do that, because then many of my clients are elderly and several of them don't even have computers still, so.
That's not your client anymore. Not
Yeah.
if you
Well,
want to be
not
a
if I'm gonna go to St.
destination
Lucia
tax.
while I'm doing my taxes.
I like that destination tax.
I'm the one that's at the destination, that sucks to be you.
Usually works the other way, right? The client gets the
Exactly. We just throw it.
Well, does anybody else have anything else
Three things.
that they want to discuss? We're at 6:51, so we can wrap up a little early if you want. If I don't see anything, okay, we're wrapping up.
Go.
I was gonna say, who's gonna tell? I mean, is there a rule?
Oh yeah, the webinar people will know. I'll get emails about this. That's not true. Nobody watches the webinar.
Our massive.
But Amy, right?
Yeah. You guys what? Yeah, that's. I mean, we get a few views, but we'll see. It's still something that we're trying
Is
to.
there a way to edit it if you ever get one that you think is just really fantastic, but you don't want to show the whole thing? Is it
I
something
could.
you'd like to?
We could.
Neil
Right now.
subs that out.
Yeah, sub it out. No, right now we're essentially writing this video to YouTube. I would have access to edit in their platform, or I could download it and then edit on my machine if we want to just get a. If you know the statement that you made today that you want on your website, you
Please
let me know.
nothing. No, I'm thinking maybe that, just for instance, if that big conversation about Michael's going international, that just seems like, we want to keep that for posterity instead of, some of this stuff is a little mundane, and we don't want to keep it up.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't talking about Paul, I was just talking about the whole conversation that was.
Some of
Yeah,
this
no, we
stuff.
could.
That was not. How would you go about having an international,
Yeah, no,
I
that's
thought
good
that was a
stuff.
good conversation.
That's good stuff.
And there
And
were a
then-
lot of different aspects.
Actually, Amy, don't you work out of town a bit, or is everybody
Yeah.
local?
Yeah, no, I do work out of town, and that's one of my big challenges is being able to travel as much as I need to. This is a really new business for me. I talked with Neil maybe 2 months ago. It's when I launched. I come from a nonprofit background, and I was a freelance writer, and then I have been a lifelong equestrian myself, so it all just kind of segued and was, perfect timing and opportunity. But yeah, the problem is that, I need to be in Florida for the winter because our United States professional equestrian scene is in Florida. And I have 3 kids, so, they're all quite small, school age. I traveled to the Hudson Valley a few weeks ago. I was gone for 4 days. I just got back from Canton, New York, where we welcomed an international show jumper from Ireland. And that was 4 days, and I'm scrambling to find, babysitters and coverage. My husband's working long hours, and then I haven't really broken into him that I'm leaving for Florida this winter. But yeah, and
When the babysitter shows up, they'll figure it out.
Yeah. And my market, of course, is that equestrian who has not made it big yet, but who has all of the markers of making it, and to get in and to be that first PR agency for them, because there are a lot of good things with that, but that engenders also a loyalty, which
You were
is
there before I was
that's right.
somebody.
Right. And there's that business.
How do you know that? Is that?
I don't know.
How do you figure that? Oh, sorry.
I don't know. No, I had this really interesting experience having worked with this trainer in Canton, New York, and I just knew that he was going to make it to the top. He just had certain qualities that you would meet him and you would think this is unusual. And he is rapidly progressing through. So I said, you need a PR agency. I really created that initially. Before I launched this, I did this work for him, and then I thought, I can do this for other people. And at the same time, he was struggling to find sponsorship. So I met with a horse blanket company, and I said, hey, I noticed you don't have a sponsored rider program, but I could do that for you, but the deal is that I get to pick the first rider. So I basically built him a sponsorship platform, and that just took off in so many different directions, because at that point, large corporate, in fact Nike just signed their first equestrian dressage rider, which we are all watching, because now the non-traditionals are going to start, and we're waiting.
Horses get sneakers?
With the rider.
How shoes are those?
Yeah, and we're all trying to get a lot of details on that sponsorship because, I know she's getting some financial support, and we're curious to know what products, and we're all paying very close attention because now it's a race to find who will be the next non-traditional, company to sponsor an equestrian athlete. So, yeah, I'm sorry, that was way longer, but yes, the travel is very difficult, and I'm, trying to answer those questions myself. I could literally be gone every single weekend to a horse show, or other major event.
And when you're going to drum up business, or you're going because you already have business there that you have to do?
No, right now, really just to kind of
find that next trainer that you want.
Yeah, because I know who I want.
Going around looking at people going,
Yeah.
are you it?
I get certain tips from people, and I'm starting to build that network, but, basically I need, to snap my fingers and be instantly networked on the northeastern equestrian scene, and it's a huge prospect for me, with a lot of big challenges, so I'm,
Do you have a lot of competition? I've never heard of anybody that
I do have competition. I really don't know a lot of agencies that focus on the market that I am interested in, which is that transition between, almost there, but not quite. A lot of the PR agencies work with the top talent.
Sure.
So.
Are they PR agencies that do just equestrian stuff?
Mostly.
Really?
Yeah. Like Phelps Media would be, obviously not, I'm not big, but they're out, that's right, yeah. They're out of Wellington. They do, the majority of press work for our US, equestrians, and anybody who's anybody is gonna be, represented by Phelps. And there are other little, boutique agencies out there, and I'm trying to find them and connect with them. There aren't many of us, but, they are there, and then get them to like talk, 'cause we talked about that, and like, all right, spill it. Yeah,
What's
but,
the name of your firm again?
Dream Keepers PR, yeah,
I like the name too.
thank you, thanks.
And have you always been in Western New York? You said you came from a not-for-profit background. What were you
Yeah,
doing
no,
before?
we've been all over the country and the world. My husband has been Air Force. So I'm from Pennsylvania, but we've California, England, Texas, way upstate, way northern New York, Canton, and then here, down here. So.
Where in Texas were you?
San Antonio area, New Braunfels. Yeah.
My brother was stationed in
Oh yeah.
Texas for a while.
Yeah. Good.
He still lives there, but he's not anymore. He was Air Force.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Well, let's wrap it, and everyone feel free to stick around. Hopefully some bit of conversation leads to some conversation after. So feel free to stick around, and we'll be here for a while. Dave isn't here to take us across the street at 8 p.m. or whatever he always does. So
What's across the
he's
street?
at a rugby game. His son apparently is playing a rugby game too. So
What does Dave take you across the street to?
the bar.
Does he bar there?
No,
Gabriel's Gate is where
he just takes us, he
Actually,
holds our
John.
hands.
He holds you,
across
make
the
sure you
street.
cross the street, look both ways.
Okay, so you can stand, do whatever you want.
I cannot wait to watch the webcast.